For years, Brad Garlinghouse has been one of the most measured, diplomatic, and strategically cautious CEOs in the entire crypto space. He always refuses to give price predictions and, he consistently redirects valuation questions back to utility, regulatory clarity, or long-term adoption curves. But everything changed when a fragment of a previously unaired interview believed to be from a Bloomberg pre-roll segment was leaked across internal finance circles. The full interview was never broadcast, and honestly, the snippet that surfaced is only a few seconds long, but those seconds were enough to ignite the most intense speculation the XRP community has ever seen. In the clip, Garlinghouse is seen reviewing his notes with the interviewer before cameras officially start rolling. He is calm, relaxed, and, unaware that a backup microphone is already recording, as he discusses Ripple's internal modeling and global liquidity forecasts. He refers to a number he never intended to say publicly, $60,000 per XRP, and the reaction has been nothing short of seismic. The snippet immediately spread through private Telegram groups, analyst circles, and institutional crypto desks. And now, the narrative forming around those few seconds has become the most explosive storyline in XRP's entire history. According to those who viewed the unedited segment, Garlinghouse was discussing Ripple's long-term liquidity projections tied to global adoption, tokenized finance, institutional settlement corridors, and the inevitable restructuring of cross-border payment infrastructure. His words didn't sound like a prediction. They sounded like a reference to an internal valuation model. A number that Ripple's strategic planning team had circulated privately, never intended for public consumption. Garlinghouse reportedly said, by the time liquidity normalizes, you're looking at something closer to 60,000. He paused immediately after saying it, almost like he realized he had just stepped outside the boundaries of what was, safe to say in front of a journalist. The interviewer didn't react, maybe not fully understanding the magnitude of what Brad had just revealed, but insiders who saw the clip say the moment is unmistakably real. His tone isn't exaggerated, his voice isn't promotional. He sounds like a CEO accidentally referencing an internal projection. A projection that, if true, represents the most aggressive institutional valuation target ever associated with XRP. Theories surrounding the meaning of Garlinghouse's final words before the interview begins have, absolutely exploded. Some believe he was describing institutional liquidity requirements once tokenization reaches full scaling across derivatives, debt markets, and global FX rails. Others think he was referencing the price level required for XRP to serve as the universal bridge asset across CBDC networks, tokenized assets, and wholesale banking. Still others argue that Ripple's internal modeling uses a drastically different framework, one where the price of XRP is determined by global settlement volume, not speculation. In such a model, XRP must reach extremely high valuations to provide sufficient liquidity density. A $60,000 XRP isn't a speculative fantasy, it's a structural price point required to support trillions in daily flows. The leaked interview also fits with a broader pattern of Garlinghouse becoming progressively less restrained in his comments about XRP's potential. In recent public interviews, he has been more candid about decade-level adoption, and has openly discussed how global liquidity will reorganize around neutral settlement assets. He has spoken repeatedly about the necessity of scalable infrastructure for tokenized finance and the shocking volume that tokenized markets will generate. Insiders now believe he has been building toward this moment, preparing the public without ever directly stating the numbers. Ripple's internal team is calculated, but during this off-camera moment he slipped, and in that slip he exposed Ripple's highest-end projection. Analyzing why Ripple might internally model a $60,000 XRP leads to revelations about the company's long-term role in global finance. Ripple's strategy has never been about retail hype. It has always been about infrastructure, massive, systemic, institutional infrastructure. Ripple works with central banks, treasury departments, real-time settlement networks, and the largest financial institutions on Earth. So, their focus isn't really on speculative profits, but rather on liquidity, throughput, stability, compliance. Tokenized assets, CBDCs, neutral settlement layers, and institutional corridors, all of these need liquidity assets that can operate at speed, at scale, and with true finality. XRP's job isn't to be, a crypto investment. Its job is to serve as the pool of liquidity that the tokenized world runs on, the settlement engine that powers this new financial architecture. If global liquidity actually consolidates into tokenized rails, then the settlement asset, it really has to be extremely high in price to carry all that volume. Otherwise, institutions would end up needing millions of tokens just to facilitate a single high-value corridor. A high price actually makes settlement efficient. On the other hand, a low price makes it honestly impossible. Ripple has hinted at this over and over, without ever really confirming it. And now, thanks to that leaked interview, the internal number is out. If XRP is truly meant to settle global flows, the price, well, it just has to rise. It has to rise dramatically, and $60,000 becomes not just a dream, not just a guess, but actually the mathematical requirement for the asset to function at scale. The leaked interview also reveals a shift in Garlinghouse's confidence as regulatory clarity approaches. Ripple has been waiting for years for the moment when its use cases are no longer restricted by legal uncertainty, with major jurisdictions moving toward clarity. And, with institutional corridors being quietly tested behind closed doors, Garlinghouse's tone has changed from cautious to assured. In the clip, his tone is so calm, almost casual, that it suggests the $60,000 figure is not hypothetical. It is a number he has seen in Ripple's internal charts, spreadsheets, and liquidity simulations. A number he has discussed with board members, advisors, and strategic partners. A number he has been aware of for years but never permitted to say. So, the timing of the leak is also crucial here. Ripple is, approaching a transition phase, where institutional corridors really start to scale, tokenized assets move into real settlement environments, and banks begin migrating to these new liquidity structures. In a moment like this, Garlinghouse mentioning a number, any number, actually risks reshaping the entire market narrative. That's exactly why he's always avoided doing it. But his final words before the interview started, well, they reveal that the internal target is way higher than anyone ever imagined. The internal logic behind this valuation, honestly, points to global adoption of RippleNet as the backbone for settlement, not just for payments, but for the tokenized economy itself. Bonds, equities, commodities, real estate, currencies, derivatives, and even corporate IOUs. All tokenized, all needing instantaneous settlement, and all demanding a neutral liquidity asset with zero counterparty risk. Ripple has positioned itself for exactly that kind of environment. XRP isn't just a tool for payments anymore, it becomes the universal connector of value, the bridge between every tokenized market, and when that role turns systemic, the price, well, it becomes systemic too. A $60,000 XRP isn't some wild moonshot gamble, it's simply the byproduct of XRP becoming the settlement layer for the entire tokenized world. The leaked clip, though short, has triggered quiet panic among institutional desks. Analysts within banks and hedge funds are reportedly recalculating models based on this newly surfaced data. Some are treating Garlinghouse's slip as confirmation of long-standing rumors that Ripple's strategic partners, central banks, clearinghouses, and global liquidity providers have already modeled XRP far into the six-figure range. Others worry that the leak could accelerate institutional accumulation, tightening supply, and driving prices up before corridors even open. And a small group of insiders believe that the leak was intentional, a final nudge from Garlinghouse to prepare the world for the scale of what's coming. Whether accidental or deliberate, the moment has already entered XRP legend. These words, Garlinghouse's final words before the camera rolled, will likely be seen as the instant when the truth escaped containment. Investors may debate the meaning, critics may dismiss the clip, and institutions may panic by behind the scenes, but the leaked number remains. $60,000, a price point whispered privately inside Ripple's strategy meetings. A number born not from hype, but from liquidity, math. A target Garlinghouse never meant for the public to hear. A glimpse into the future XRP was built for, and now that the world has heard it, nothing will ever be the same again. Disclaimer, please remember, I am not a licensed financial advisor. The content presented in these